So here we are, December the 4th, Impression Work headquarters in Baton Rouge.
We have Travis here to share his journey and story about how he got started, the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys, and all the struggles and highlights that an entrepreneur has. And so, Travis, if you don't mind, maybe just kind of start from the beginning. Tell us where you came from and how you got where you're at now.
Absolutely. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Gabriel, for having me. You're right. It's a ride, more like a roller coaster. So 4 years ago, after managing multiple sales teams in telecom industry, my degree's in network engineering, so came from a technical background and really just enjoyed the creative aspects of technology and what it could do for businesses. So spent most of my career in the telecom sales industry, opening up offices across the Southeast. And in the telecom industry, it's very cutthroat. They're buying each other left and right. And every time you get to the top of one and they sell, you have to recreate yourself, rebuild your brand, I guess, within the organization. And you don't get to really choose who you get to work with. And I really wanted to be in a position where I could really surround myself with great, inspiring people. And the only way to do that, I thought, was to create my own business and pick and choose who I wanted to be around. So in 2011, I did that with retiring kind of at the top of my career as an executive vice president of a telecom industry here. I told my wife and my kids at the time that I wanted to start my own business.
How old were you then?
I was 30 years old. I actually opened up the business report and saw in 2010, the end of 2010, the top 40 under 40. And I knew like 3 or 4 people on the list. And I said, I got 10 years to get there. That was kind of an inspiration to me. If they could do it, I could do it.
So you kind of started with that telecom industry. What kind of drew you to entrepreneurship in the beginning?
I always had ideas. I think what helped me in the telecom industry was thinking out of the box. Was thinking about how I can meet a business owner that's trying to grow his business and what communications, internet, and connectivity could do for him. And always thinking out of the box and explaining it well to someone so they can understand it. So I love that aspect of what technology can do for a business. And I thought I could really do this myself. And the ability to create jobs and people believe in you and to take something like an idea and put it on a whiteboard and bring that to market always inspired me. Always watching the shows, how I made my millions and Shark Tank and those things always really inspired me. Me and my wife would always watch it and say, we could do that.
Along the way, did you find mentors, any people that really influenced you, even if it was like a Shark Tank or a local person that you kind of identified with at a young age?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that I always looked to my faith. So people that were instilling in my life, like my pastor, someone that looked at me and always said I was different, that I could do anything. And with God on my side, I could do it. Leslie Wilbert has been a mentor for the last 12 years in my life. He's ran multiple businesses, family businesses, and opened up businesses. And I saw what he could do. But he was someone that was always believing in me and telling me that I could do whatever I wanted. So when I started Impression Works, I went to Leslie, and he was one of the first investors in Impression Works. And I tell you what, when someone puts their money into your idea, it really becomes reality that you can do it. They believe in you enough to not only give you their time, but put their money into something that you created.
Now, when you start your business, we always hear from entrepreneurs that happiness is kind of high early on, and then a whole world of pain starts. Just give us a few glimpses into those onslaught of obstacles that the entrepreneur deals with.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because so I don't cry because you're bringing back those pain points and memories, and we're still in it today.
Right.
For 4 years, I wish I could sit here and say that it was just, we had this idea and we created it and built it and launched it and started making money and everything's been rosy, but that's not the way it works. First, you got to find your way. And I mean that by knowing what you're going to do, how are you going to do it, the people you're going to surround yourself with, and then realizing that sometimes your way is not the right way. So you go down a path, and we started Impression Works, and we didn't really know. We knew we wanted to build mobile applications. That was our first dream. But to realize that what really goes into that, and we created apps that people have never bought and that we never launched. So you go through those frustrations and spend money and you spend resources and time and realize, I think the biggest advice that someone ever gave me was sometimes it's not about what you're doing, it's what you're not doing. So you go down a lot of these paths, and to quickly say, you know what, this is not the right path. Let me get back on what our heart was. And our heart was always to create an application or something in the realm of technology that was going to help people. And that's what we did. We created Memo, which gives back to churches and ministries and schools, a fundraising application. And we created Mobile Job Force to help people find jobs. Two things that were simple. Probably the two simplest things we ever came up with are the actually things that are making us money today. All those other complicated, big dreams that we had and we drew on whiteboards over and over again never really came to realization. It was the simple things. Like, if you can't explain it to your grandma, then you shouldn't probably do it.
One quote I love from John D. Rockefeller, he says, "The business of business is people." And so many entrepreneurs that have a lot of talent, they usually score high D's on a DISC assessment, very bold, very risky people as far as that tolerance to take those risks. But at some point, every entrepreneur understands that they have to have people on their teams. Explain that journey to you, that you started to work with people, hire people, manage people on your team.
My two first developers left successful careers because they said they believed in what we were doing. So that's when it becomes reality, when people are leaving successful careers and you've inspired them to come and join you. And at first it's great. You're working together, you're excited, but people are people. You have to realize that it comes with a lot of patience, understanding, and especially as someone as a founder, you're used to doing things yourself. You're used to building things yourself. You're used to sitting in a room and, all your ideas are great because you're looking in a mirror and the only person you have is you telling you how great they are. When you bring other people in, they have their own ideas and they have their own vision. And you have to realize as an entrepreneur and a founder, a good one, that some of the best things you can do is surround yourself with great people. And you got to let their ideas be heard. So I think the people journey is probably the most dynamic one in a business. We started off when it was just 2 or 3 of us. It's easy. Now we have 22 employees across 2 different continents. So managing a team in South Africa, which is one of our main development offices, managing a team here, 2 different cultures, 2 different ways of living and speaking. It's very fluid, very dynamic, and it has its challenges.
Have you found that you personally have had to change or improve as a communicator to all the different people that come onto your team?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that we do, communication is not always an art. You got to practice it. I've always had a knack for communicating, but when you're having to manage people into 2 different time zones, you got to practice. And one thing we do is we communicate a lot. We probably hyper communicate. We have a daily stand up every 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes every single day. We get on a Skype call. We look each other eye to eye. 12 people on that side, 10 people on this side. And we talk to each other like they're sitting in the room from us. We look them in the eyes. We know what we're doing. We know their challenges. They tell us what we did yesterday, what we did doing today, and what our roadblocks are. If there's a roadblock, write it on a board, and then your job as one of an ImpressionWorks team member is to find someone to help you remove that roadblock by the end of the day. So I think that communication is a key, and I don't think you can communicate too much.
Now, going back to the man or the entrepreneur, and especially the husband and the father, and how did all that roll into this? Where was that on the journey? The wife, the kids.
I came home 4 years ago after reading that business report article, and I laid it in front of my wife and said, "Hey, I want to do this." She said, "Do what?" I said, "I want to make a difference. I'm basically an employee right now of a company that has 3,000 employees. So I'm kind of a nobody right now, and I want to be somebody. And I think I can do it." So it's from that point of looking your wife in the eye, knowing you have young babies, and we got 5 children, and having her say yes is probably the biggest start. If you don't have your wife and your partner on your side through this, you're not gonna make it. So the first sale you ever make as an entrepreneur is in your home. And once you can sell that, then you can do anything. So that's where it started. And that sale doesn't stop from day one. It's a daily sales process. So I go home every day selling my wife on this dream because it's hard for them to see. It's hard for anybody to see because you're in the grind every single day and you're looking at budgets and payroll and employees. You're looking at creating things and building things that always don't work. So you come home every day and you have to resell that dream. So
what's her name?
Summer.
Summer?
Yeah. So Summer's, she's one of 7 children. She's an amazing woman. She raises our 5 children and tries to keep me in line.
If Summer were here, what would she tell us about you and your company?
I think the first thing she would tell you is that she calls me an eternal optimist. So I always see the best in the situation. And it's frustrating for her because she's in a reality. So I come home every day, listen, we're going to buy this company in South Africa and this is what we're going to do. And she lays the bills in front of me and said, can we pay the house note first? I come home and I tell her that we're going to hire this new executive and she's going to help us sell and grow. And she's like, okay, Travis, that's fine, but tuition's due tomorrow. So she's always bringing me back to reality. And I think we make a good partnership. I'm an optimist. She's a realist. And so it's challenging in it sometimes, but it's never dull.
For those unfortunate women married to entrepreneurs, what advice could you give them?
That's a loaded question. I don't think I really figured that out. I can tell you to the entrepreneur, it's knowing when to share things with them. You don't always go home and share immediately the positive that's going on every day. And be careful when you share the negative. It's a balance. So I think for the entrepreneurs, just be open and honest, but know when the right time is. I mean, I come home, I'm excited, pumped up every day. I walk in the door, my kids are all running at me. She's been cooking, cleaning, and raising our children, picking them up from school, doing homework. The first thing you do is don't tell them about the latest sale that you made and, ask them how they're doing, build that relationship. So, but to my wife or to the entrepreneur's spouse, I would say they can't do without you. Mm. You can't go to work with them every day, but you believing in them, consoling them when they had a bad day and asking them about the excitement they're doing is really what they need. That's my advice.
When you start a company, when you start a marriage, these things obviously aren't 101 classes that you took. Tell us a little bit about those learning experiences. How was it when you didn't know these things? You came home, told your wife the best sell, how everything's falling apart. What were those early days like?
I'm trying to think back because it's 4 years ago, but I'll be honest with you, it seems like 40.
Time is, relative in these journeys.
That's exactly right. So what I've learned the most is that as an entrepreneur, it's instilled in us or built in us in our blood to create things and fix things. If we see a problem, we think we have a solution. You got to turn that off sometimes when you go home. You don't need to always fix things. Things don't always have to be where they have to be fixed. So I think that one thing I learned is to be able to switch it off going home, the daily grind of what we're doing, to be able to switch it off and just be a husband, be a father. So I know that helps my wife.
And here's a question I've had to ask myself because of legacy. But if you could have a conversation and maybe even a coaching type relationship right now with the 20-year-old Travis, what would you tell him? What advice would you give him? What would be his training session to prepare him for what you're going through right now? If you were his coach and say, all right, son, I want you to start doing this because you don't know that you're going to need this, but you're going to need this soon. What are some of those skill sets? What are some of that advice? What could you do to prepare him for what you're going through?
I think looking back at the 20-year-old Travis or the person that I'd be mentoring is you may think you know it all. You may think that you're unstoppable and that you have it all figured out because I know I did. But quickly to surround yourself with people that's already done it, to surround yourself with people that believe in you, but that can also challenge you. I think who you surround yourself early on in your entrepreneur career is so important because I think they can drag you down or they can pick you up. So be very selective who your first co-founders are, who your first mentors are in partnership. Start building those relationships now, even before your idea is established. If you know you're going to be an entrepreneur, but you don't know exactly what you're going to do, start building those relationships now. That would be the first thing I say. Second thing I say, which probably should have been the first, is I feel that your faith and your belief in God and your prayer life, if you don't have one, get one because you're going to need it. If you have one, it's probably not enough because faith is what really helps you wake up every morning, no matter what's going on in the business, no matter what's going on in your life. Faith is what wakes you up every morning, and that belief system is so important. And it even gets compounded when you get into business, how much more you need it. So establish that now.
Simon Sinek has a really cool video. I'm sure you might have seen it. The whole start with why. Why do you do what you do? So I'm going to ask that question to you. Why? What is your why? Why do you do what you do?
I think because I couldn't think of myself doing anything else. I think a very smart man said, your plan B kills your plan A.
Yeah. It wasn't me. I quoted him. I don't know who it was.
And that's so true. You have to love what you're doing. Believe in what you're doing. If you don't, then you need to find that. So I started Impression Works with a vision of creating a business that gives back to the community, gives back to employees, and gives back to nonprofits and charities. So if you can build a business around something that you love and something that you're passionate about and something that you believe in, there's no better happiness. So that's what drives me, is because I know that from the napkin or the whiteboard to the marketplace, I'm doing exactly what I sought out to do. It took me a different path to get here, and I didn't know exactly what that looked like. But if you look at what Memo is today, a simple, easy application for anybody to take their memories and turn it into money for their favorite cause. It sounds like kind of a cliche when you say it, but that's what we're doing. And we're doing it on a national and international level now. And just 3.5 years ago, it was just an idea on a napkin.
So I've heard the greatest entrepreneurial advice is to start. If you were talking to a crowd of young entrepreneurs, what would you tell them about how important the fight is to them? Just staying in that arena, start the company, stay in the fight. How would you stress that to them?
Well, what you said first is just start. There's 99% of all great ideas never get started, never become reality. Because people are afraid to start, and they're afraid of failure. Everybody's afraid of failure. But I think that fear can be a driving force inside of you if it's the right fear. So just start. And then once you start, don't stop. Keep the fight. And it is a fight. I think that when I early on starting to look at what we're going to build here at Impression Works, there's a lot of noise in regards to building a technology company. There's a lot of great success stories that happened overnight. So you have that notion that it's going to be, I build my first app, I launch it, and I'm Facebook or Instagram, and that's not the way it always is. And some of the greatest companies on earth didn't become great for 10, 15 years. So know that it's definitely not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you'll quickly learn if this is what you're meant to do.
Great. So we're in minute 22 now. We have 20 more minutes to go. And I wanted to go ahead and just speed it up a little bit more about the dynamics and mechanics. So my side, I love what Craig shared with us, and that's you as an entrepreneur. But I want to get into more of your routines and habits. For example, I want to start with something as simple as your morning routine, and how does that look like?
Mine's pretty dynamic. So I tried to drop the kids off at school on time. But I think that's important for me. I mean, to spend that time with my children on the way to school was very important to me. And I get to talk to them about their day and my day. So I think that's where I start. I come into the office, a good strong cup of coffee. I have a 10-minute stand-up with my team in the U.S. and in South Africa. We all get together. And I know exactly what's going on with every team member, what obstacles they have, and what's the goal for today. Because technology changes every single day. Our sprint or our planning session changes every day because we're building a system that's live, have customers on it. So it's very dynamic and very fluid. So every day, just focusing on what we can do today to build the team, help the team, and grow the application is very important. So we have a 10-minute stand-up. It lasts 10 minutes. We have 20 people that speak in 10 minutes. So we make sure that that's important.
And those are the 3 questions from Scrum. What did you do yesterday? What are you going to do? And do you have any roadblocks or challenges?
That's exactly right. So we use the Scrum methodology, and those are the 3 questions that we have. We put on our sprint board. We use Sprintly to kind of manage all of our tasks. So we're all looking at the board. We're looking at each other in the eye, and we get through that.
And what's the tool again that you guys use? Or
Sprintly.
Okay.
Is what we use to manage our sprints.
Sure.
So our sprints are on a 2-week stand-up. So we're a development house, and we have 2-week sprints.
Do you guys use any other project management tool, or you got your custom?
Yeah. So to handle all of our live orders and management, we use Podio.
Yeah.
We use Sprintly to manage our sprint board. We have Kanban boards that we use. And we also use Jira Jira.
Yeah.
However you want to
for
pronounce
support.
it. For support. So there's a lot of systems, a lot of applications, and people are all in and out of them all day long. So if you look at around, everybody has multiple screens. Everybody uses them.
Right. And I want to emphasize that the importance. There's a bunch of tools out there. I'm a geek with tools. I try them all. Teamwork, Soho, Rike, anything you name it. I'll try them all. And I finally we finally decided to use Rike. But do you guys find yourself as well with so many options on, using Sprintly and then Podio? I actually tried Podio. I loved it. That was my favorite. My team didn't like it so much because they have so many things that you can customize. It was a little bit hard, but how do you go about choosing the right tools?
So I think what you said is important, is that out of the box, a lot of them are not going to do everything you need them to do. So I think that allowing the developers and the designers to try the tool, not force anything on them, because they're the ones that are going to pick it and use it every day. And they're the ones that are capable of customizing it to what you need it to be. So all of our Podio is, we've hacked it and customized it. All of our orders are automatically flowed into it now. There's a lot of dynamics in it, but there's some tools that I like better. But I allowed my team to make that decision because they're the ones in it every day. A lot of times top management force tools on employees and everybody's reluctant to use it. Let them try out some of them and pick. I think that's helped us.
Fantastic. And then, when it comes to learning and yourself, training yourself, can you describe a little bit of your, reading habits or conference or, how do you get in better and better?
I know every day I read the Bible. That helps me. That's probably the best self-help book you can find for me. And, I read a lot of articles. I'll read behind a lot of.
What version do you read of the Bible?
King James.
Okay. Solid.
But I have the Bible app on my phone, so that makes it easy for us.
And how long you do it for? 10, 20 minutes or 5 minutes?
Yeah, it's not really set, but I think at least 10, 20 minutes every morning. And the first thing I grab in the morning is my phone. So the first thing I did was put the Bible app on the front page of my phone, which helps me be reminded that before I check email, I open up the Bible app. And I've done it to all my kids. If you look at all my kids' iPads, they have the U version for kids, and I've instilled it in them. So they're in it right now, opening up the Bible every morning. So that's something that I do, and my wife does, and my kids do. Just put God first, even when you grab your device, and it helps out a lot.
Totally. And then any other resources do you guys, internally as a team, how do you guys handle that training? For example, Scrum, we love the audio. Craig is actually going through the audiobook right now, but we were talking about this last week. Is the audiobook, it's about 2 hours, or maybe 6 hours, but it's just a glimpse of what Scrum methodology is. It doesn't teach you the mechanics of it. So how do you guys handle training internally?
So most of the trainings, we set aside time for our employees to have training. Most of it's online, but then the tools themselves they can pick some training that they want to do. So I think that we're in the middle of a major launch, so we haven't spent a lot of time because everybody's really focused on this new launch of our application. But it's definitely important, and it's definitely a resource. Online is everything.
Yeah. Also, and then I'd love to chat about the remote team. Right now, it's kind of a big deal. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but in the whole movement in Silicon Valley, Tim Ferriss is one of our icons in Silicon Valley, and he came up with this 4-hour work week, and everybody makes fun of that book and the title of the book called 4-Hour Work Week. But what he pretty much brought into the world, into the table, is this notion of outsourcing or building remote teams that you don't necessarily, especially for entrepreneurs. It helped me and my team. I have my team in Venezuela. It helped me open the doors. Well, I didn't really have to start with a full-time employee because I couldn't even pay myself a salary when I'm starting out. Right. And I'm 18 years old. I'm trying to find how I'm going to pay for college. Right?
Exactly.
So I love for you to describe that even though it's remotely, you still can pretty much get results, and even sometimes better than necessarily having everybody in the same team, kind of like the traditional path. So can you share more about the remote team?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is just one that is very simple. We have a team that's 8 hours ahead of us. So we have basically a 16 to 18 hour work week. That helps out a lot. We have live customers, live orders, and live support. So where our Cape Town team leaves off, whether it be developers leaving off, design, or support tickets, using those systems, using that 8 hour lead time has really given us an advantage. especially in tight deadlines. Dealing with U.S. customers and U.S. support, it's really helped us a lot. So you don't have to be in one room. You don't have to be in one state, one country, one continent. You can, if you manage right, the tools are in place, it can definitely be an advantage for you. I think that there's different cultures. You know, they're in Cape Town, I think they call it Silicon Cape. They built a very high tech industry, and everybody's really focused on, like you said, the 4-hour work week, come into office with flip flops and t-shirts and have a very lax work environment. Here it's different. So, you know, I've been to Cape Town. I go there twice a year. I brought some of my developers there, which seemed like a good idea. And it was, but they come back. Why can't we come to work at 10 and leave at 3 and work remotely? So there's definitely dynamics when you bring the two cultures together, and so you have to manage that appropriately.
Fantastic. Last question I have, it's more related to leverage, and of course, like you say, especially in the high tech industry, everybody want to grow, 10x per year stuff, but we were talking a minute ago with Craig. You're more for the marathon, not necessarily this sprint, just run. But what do you think it's the best way for you to leverage right now? I know you guys have, external investor. You're probably going to be doing some series of more raising capital, and that's cool. But how do you think leverage can help you do more of what you're doing?
So I think that you mentioned taking on investors. So I mentioned earlier that it's a marathon, not a sprint. But when you take external money, for them, it's a sprint every day.
Yes.
Okay. So, they don't want to hear a long story about how you're going to get there. They just want you to get there. So we've raised, we're about to open up another round of funding. So we raised over $2 million in our first couple of rounds. We're about to open up another round to really take our company to the next level. So I think that making sure you're sharing those expectations up front. So you can leverage those relationships, but sharing exactly your plan and being transparent and where your company's going, keeping to your heart and your vision of what you want to do. And that sometimes turning down investment money is hard, but you have to do it if they're not aligned with your vision. So I think that's something that is very important.
How much time do y'all spend training your employees, training yourself, really just getting everybody on board with the systems and stuff?
Yeah. So not enough right now. I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges in a startup is everyone is working in the business, not on the business. Everybody, including the entrepreneur. So taking time to train. You kind of train as you go. You train as a necessity. You institute a new tool. You hire new employees. They bring their vision and training with them. So I think that probably the next step of Impression Works is really to focus on our employees, helping grow our employees, as well as training our employees. We've hired very key people that have key skills. So you kind of assume that you made a good hire and they know everything. But the bottom line is they're thriving to learn and grow as well. So I think that as a startup, that's a big challenge and something that I want to focus more in 2016 as we start growing and raising capital is to put in place training procedures and processes and policies.
Now, maybe if you can go through not just your day, but even your week, how much time do you personally devote to just pure thought and creative thinking?
I guess in my 14-hour day, I would say probably about 10% right now. And I think it probably would, as we start hiring some key executives, I would like to spend a lot more because I think early on it was probably 80%.
Right.
Because you're thinking, you're creating, you're seeing the future. And right now your head's down and you're seeing the numbers. But I think as you grow as a company, you start putting people in place that can help you expand and take time to start thinking again and creating. Because I think that's where most companies lose their way is they stop seeing the vision and just put their head down and look at the numbers.
Have you used any kind of executive training like Vistage or anything? Coaching?
Yeah, that's been a big help for me. Once a month, I'm a member of the Vistage group here. Started off in the Key Group. Mm-hmm. Malcolm Brignac is the chair of the Key Group as well as the CEO group. So I started off in the Key Group. And just recently we hired a president of the memo division of our organization. So her name's Angela Ray. She comes from a global marketing position for one of the largest medical instrument companies called Perkin & Elmer. So she starts with us January 1st. So she's going to be in the key group, and I'm graduating into the CEO group. But Vistage is a great organization. Our chair, Malcolm, is unbelievable. And what it allows me to do is once a month, walk out these doors, turn my cell phone and laptop off, and sit in a room with 16 other CEOs and key executives and talk about our challenges, talk about our day. We have what's called the hot seat. We get in the middle of the room, and we bring up issues, not only personal issues in the business, and you have 16 people that have been through it, and somebody in that room has gone through something similar and can share how they got through it. So I can't speak enough about Vistage and what it has done for me. It allowed me to open up because it's lonely sometimes at the top. Mm-hmm. I have Leslie, who's been a great mentor for me, but he's in the business too. So sometimes it's great to just get out of it and just talk about the challenges of it with people that have done it before.
Yeah, Malcolm was one of our first early benefactors to Legacy. And so was Dwayne. He was one of our, Dwayne Honore. He's in that group. And if you could maybe explain not just the coaching part, but maybe the seminars or, how important it is for the entrepreneur to just stay in that culture of entrepreneurs. Absolutely.
This just has really exposed me to that. When we bring in key speakers on plethora of issues that business entrepreneurs go through, whether it be finance, whether it be coaching, whether it be mentorship, whether it be communications, building a sales and marketing team, those things that, yes, you can read an article, you can read a book, but to sit in a group of other like-minded people, hearing the same thing, talking about it, challenging the speaker, asking questions, it's something that I would say is a necessity for someone that is thinking about starting a business and taking this road, is to get plugged into those groups. Money well worth it.
That's it. Man, that's been an outstanding interview. Thank you for your time and your testimony. I wish we could have recorded the other one that we had in the coffee room.
Yes.
Gabriel, do you have any last comments to wrap it up?
I appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. It means a lot.
Yeah. No, I appreciate y'all coming in and seeing our operation. We built the showroom so we can show people what we're doing.
Right.
I think that, I don't know y'all thoughts, but I think we're on to something very special here.
Yeah, why don't we close with sharing a little bit of what we talk about Memo?
I think we're on to something very special. I mean, there's a lot of great nonprofits. There's a lot of great charities that don't have creative ways to raise money except for just asking you for money, which is great. And I think we should give. That's our heart. Impression Works just started with a giving mindset. That's what we want to give back. But we created a system that really tugs at the heart of most people. Our system, Memo, allows anyone, any charity, nonprofit, school to raise money by offering unbelievable photo books and photo products, great quality, to parents and loyal supporters of that charity. So you can take pictures of your kid sitting at a soccer game, take pictures with your iPhone of your kid playing soccer or your daughter cheerleading or football or whatever you're into or whatever event you're going to. Take pictures to remember that event, upload it to our site, and then 7 days later get a beautiful book that you customized with a thank you note from the charity or the school saying thank you for supporting our cause. And I think that is something special. Memo, we're creating memories, allowing you to create memories and raise money for what's important to you.
Fantastic.
Is there a place where we can go and look at what you guys are doing? Of course, impressionworks.net.
Yeah, it's impressionworks.net. We'll tell you everything about our two products, Mobile Job Force, which is an application tracking system helping you find jobs, and tell you everything that you need to know about Memo, which is the photo book application. So we're going to compete against Shutterfly in a big way right here from Baton Rouge.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, Travis, it's been great. This is Travis Broussard with Impression Works, and we'll check back in a couple of years and get an update.
Leslie. Probably next one or something, but I would love to. Yeah. Definitely love to have you get your wealth of knowledge as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a good interview. You can hear the other side of it.